What's up, otakus? It's your tour guide here. Um, oh my gosh, so much to unpack, and I don't want to make this a very long video, but yeah, let's try to unpack some of it. So first and foremost, I watched, uh, my buddy Dave. I met up with him um, earlier this evening, and Dave and I have traded books in the past. Um, in fact, yeah, I kind of bring my overflow box. He brings his, stuff that I like. He knows I like Jim Lee. He knows I like Brian Ballin now. So he's been kind of on the lookout for it. And he has a bunch of good stuff in his collection. It's incredible. This guy doesn't go to any other LCS or comic shops. He literally hits up two locations for his collection, and that's Half Price Books here in Bellevue and in Redmond. And I'm a little I gotta say, like, if he were not in the equation, all these books would probably be mine anyway, because he picked up all these books from the Half Price Books I consistently go to. He is just there more than I am. Hence, he knows when the books are coming out somehow, and he kind of gets first dibs on everything. So he goes through and combs and gets all the value. The fortunate thing for me is he and I don't necessarily collect the same things. He's not a Superman collector. He doesn't collect a lot of the 90s stuff, although, on some of the Jim Lee, like Todd McFarlane, like, the Image guys, he collects some of those artists. He does like Jim Lee, he says. But in terms of Jim Lee, he's like not, like, he'll pick Jim Lee stuff up, but he's not as like dedicated as I am to, I guess, picking up Jim Lee books. But anyway, so we met earlier this evening and conducted a trade, and man, did he have a lot of good stuff. I was kind of surprised. and and unfortunately, like, he only wanted really one book that I had, and I was asking a lot for it. So that one book pretty much translated to what I picked up. I mean, he added, I think, 3 additional books, and so I was able to add a couple more books. But yeah, I mean, the book he wanted was $100. The book I wanted totaled out to be like $90. And then he's like, I also want these 3, which added maybe like about $12 more to the value of my books. So $112 for mine. And so I picked out some additional ones, and we were able to get it to about $110, $112. So, he was fine with that. So the books I gave up, I only gave up 4 books, and I got this from his pile. So I didn't actually, I was hoping to purge some of my overflow. It was not a good trade in terms of volume. Again, I gave up 4 books and I picked up a big stack. So in terms of volume, I didn't necessarily make out. But in terms of, I think, overall value, and especially books I'm wanting to add, I think I made out really. I'm happy with the trade. And Dave's happy with the trade. So if we're both happy, that's ultimately what matters. So the big book I traded was the Dave Stevens Seduction of the Innocent. It's a black cover. It's a sort of a good / bad girl cover. It did not have the 3D glasses, but it's a black cover and it was very high grade. In fact, I was telling him, you should grade that because it would definitely come back a 9.4, possibly a 9.6, but it's not a 9.8. It's got a couple spine ticks. They're very minute, barely noticeable. You have to really hone in on them. And the little minor spine ticks kind of break color, not really, but subtly break color. So, he even looked at it and he's like, yeah, that's high grade. So I was asking 100 in terms of trade value for that book, and he agreed. So that was good. I picked that book up for $1. So to get $100 worth of trade value, and especially get books, all these books are ones that I picked out and wanted for the collection. So I really, don't look at it as like, I'm not a Dave Stevens collector. So that book I was hoping to either sell to get that value or trade in terms of equivalent value. And that's what we got. So very happy with that trade. The other book was the, it was the, what was it? The DC, oh, the name's escaping me now. Anyway, the DC Encyclopedia, where Dave Stevens is a panel on Phantom Girl. It's the P's. I also picked that up for $1, but in the trade, it was like I said $2 for that. And then 2 Marvel Zombies covers. One of the Jim Lee homage with Cap, Black Widow, and Wolverine, and the other Marvel Zombie homage is of the classic Silver Surfer and Thor cover. So yeah, those are modern books. I put them at about $5 each. So $112 in terms of the value I gave up, and I got about $110 in terms of value again. So a lot of these books we just said, just said $2 a pop, which was good. So let's just go through those books first. This one is just a cool sort of, at first I was like, is this Jim Lee? And he's like, yeah. And it's signed by Jim Lee, 2002. And this was kind of like, again, I covered a Blue Period Jim Lee book, the transition from DC to Wildstorm. This was right around that time, 2002, Gen 13.0. This was actually a 13-cent book back in the day. But just a nice Jim Lee cover there on what's setting up to be a new Wildstorm sort of reissue, a volume of, Gen 13, I should say. Wildstorm Gen 13 reissue. So yeah, nice Jim Lee book edition there. Didn't have that one previously. Now this one I do have, but my copy is not in the poly bag. This one is still poly bagged, and it's a combo pack one. This is the second print of Justice League 1. Just thought that was cool to have it in the poly bag, so pick that up. This one is a really nice find. It's World of Warcraft #1 from Wildstorm. And it's a sort of like a sketch cover variant. I think it's a variant, but that is cool. This is one I think we've been looking for a while. Jim Lee does a series of World of Warcraft covers. And this is from 2008, I believe. Yeah. That's just a cool, yeah. So that was a nice ad. This one, it's one we kind of run into all the time, but yeah, I mean, Dave had it there. The condition on this was really nice, so I picked it up. It's Punisher, number 57. This is a Jim Lee cover. The back is actually cooler. In fact, I'm just going to leave it as on the back because, to be honest, the front cover isn't all that great. It's the back cover that I like, and you can see it right here, I guess. Right? That's the cover you want to show off on this one. Wanted Dead or Alive, classic Jim Lee Punisher right there. That's just beautiful. So that's a nice ad. This is, I'm gonna save that for later. It's probably, yeah, we'll save this. That's a nice book. This is a newsstand of X-Men 10. And I think this is the last. So I haven't picked up newsstands of X-Men 1 yet. I should have probably picked up that number 2 as well. Why didn't I? He had an X-Men 2 that was a news. I don't think I have the number 2 in X-Men newsstand as well. But I pretty much have every other, like 3 through 11 now in newsstand. And I picked up a second newsstand of this one. So we picked up 2 additional newsstands. This one I already have, but this one I think is in better condition than my newsstand. And then this one is also one I didn't have in newsstand. So we picked up 2 additional X-Men newsstands. I have a bunch of copies of these already, but again, don't mind picking up more. And then we picked up this one, Suicide Squad 50. That is just a great Jim Lee cover. It's an extra-sized anniversary issue. Pretty cool. Jim Lee does do the first, series of issues on this, and then Philip Tan takes over, and then he just comes back and hits you with the 50th, the 50th issue 50, I should say, anniversary issue. This one I already have. Actually have it back here. And you know how much I love this cover. I love this cover. In fact, let me get my original copy here. So I already had this in the DC logo. But Dave had another DC logo, and I'm just like, how is he doing this? How is he picking up high grade? I mean, does it have a crease? No. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's the bag. How is he picking up high grade? This is the kind of stuff I'm missing, and he's like sniping it. I could have picked this up for like 75 cents had Dave not sniped it. But it is what it is. I got it now. But yeah, I mean, I set a second copy of my favorite cover in this run. This is definitely my favorite. I like it even more than the Wonder Woman 72. That's a classic one where she's standing in her armor. It's like $100 book. I like this cover much better than that one. This is just it's Wonder Woman and Superman, and I know there's Camp Lois and there's Camp Diana. I am Camp Diana. I like the fact that these two are ever so often have these feelings for each other. They have feelings for each other, but they keep it professional. I finally got this book. This isn't high grade. This is very high grade. We got Wonder Woman 96, the Bolland Joker cover in this Wonder Woman run. That's great. You know, he wanted, I think, 15 for both of these. It's kind of around where I would value it as well, so I didn't object. This one, he wanted 2 for it, and man, am I more than willing to oblige. We got 2000 AD monthly #1, and that it's just a great cover here. Again, we just love this early Ballin Judge Dredd stuff from Eagle Comics. That is great. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't. So the more and more I look at these books, the more and more like, yeah, you know, that Dave Stevens book is great. I was kind of debating, should I keep it or should I trade it? But now I'm, you know, we're not even through the big books yet. Just from what I've picked up so far, I'm really glad, because all this is the stuff I actually like search for and collect. So, you know, Dave Stevens is nice, I think, but I think other collectors value it more than I do. Dave definitely values it. I mean, so Dave and I collect different things. I know he's looking for some of the rare indie stuff. And of course, you know, he's gonna like artists like Dave Stevens. He's kind of more of the he's more of like the artist collector. He collects like you know, there's a whole kind of circle of artists he collects, but he's not trying to pick up every book. He's just trying to pick up like really key ones, ones that garner a lot of interest for that artist, and also the covers he likes on those. So yeah, when he saw the Dave Stevens, I knew, so I took the Dave Stevens because I knew that's the book he'd want. Out of all my other stuff, I knew that, you know, we'd at least get a trade going. And I knew there was a book in here that I definitely wanted, which is kind of why we set up the trade. So yeah, we were kind of unsure what each of us would bring. And to be honest, like, he didn't really pick out much from I mean, it was a situation where the book he wanted was so high value, he couldn't pick out more, because then that would mean I'd have to pick out more. And I just I didn't want a lot of the stuff. Actually, I could have picked up a little bit more. I should have kind of got a bigger stack to force him to pick out and choose more. But I was very conservative for what I pulled out from his box. There were some additional ones we left in there. Hopefully we'll get a trade going again soon. But yeah, that was pretty much it. All right. So there's additional books. This one is really it's a near mint book. It's a near mint book for sure. And I don't know. I mean, it might be worth getting graded. It's in really great shape. And I finally have this key issue in a newsstand. Got Batman 608, Jim Lee's first, not his first like Batman book at DC, but it's his first official book on the run, book in continuity. So yeah, you know, this is a book that we've always wanted in newsstand, and yeah, we got as part of this trade. So that is really cool. In fact, you know, the more I think about this one is like, you know, getting in newsstand is a challenge in and of itself, but getting in high grade newsstand is pretty nice. So Batman 608. This one is just a great. I love this cover, yeah, you know, Jim does a great Harley Lee. Um, does a great Harley Quinn, and this is a great Harley Quinn cover. In fact, I think this is probably his best Harley Quinn cover, and that's this Justice League 47. I don't know if this is a variant cover or if it's the standard cover, but it's just a brilliant cover here of Harley looking very cute, with all these dolls and bullet blasts in the background. It's a fun it's a fun cover. Definitely worth having picked up. All right, this is one of the books that we kind of wanted. It's a $25 book. It's in fabulous shape, and it comes in this bag and board as well. We picked up Batman Damned, #1, and this one has the controversial nude Batman. I guess it shows Batman's penis or something like that. I haven't flipped through the book or anything, but I'll take their word for it. But no, we got this book for this an amazing Jim Lee variant cover. This is not the standard cover, it's the variant. So I've got 1 and 2 in the variant covers now. And there we go. I got #2 signed. And now we've got #1 to add to our collection. So boom. Got 1 and 2 now. And this 2 is just incredible. It's like such a badass cover. This one's not bad either. It's great. You know, but I definitely prefer this cover over this. Just looks more menacing. But yeah, we've got both of them now, which is pretty cool. And these will go just back here. Let's store them back here as a set. They go right there, and then we'll put Red Hulk up there, and we'll retire Deadpool Wolverine to the shelf here. Deadpool, you know, this was part of my like backdrop for such a long time, ever since I picked it up pretty much. It's just kind of been sitting there in the corner. But we're gonna retire the book. We'll get my thoughts on the film in a bit. But yeah, went and saw Wolverine Deadpool yesterday. All right, so this is the book of the trade. And the reason I got this was because Dave had 2 of these, 2 of them. And he's like, yeah, I'll trade you my other one. So I'm very fortunate. In fact, I'm looking at the back here, and it's, you know, we got a high grade. Yeah, it's high grade. You got a high grade card. There's a card behind the card that kind of makes it look like there's some issue, but there's no issues. Sharp corners, well balanced in terms of its borders. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to get it graded someday, but for now, I'm just going to keep it. So what we got, and I got this in a top loader. We've got the cable card comic here on the top, and then what we picked up today, we picked up the Deadpool card comic. Like I said, it looks like it has a corner issue there, but no, it's just the card. There's another T-shirt card underneath that. Right underneath it, I got it nice and stacked on that. So it's nice and compact in here in this because it's got 2 books that are polybagged. So as you can see, it's nice and kind of tight. That card's not going to move around, but it's right under. There's another card right under the Deadpool card. So you know, Dave wanted, I think, $20 in terms of trade value for it. So all in all, again, this stack of books, I look at it as like giving up a Dave Stevens book for all these books that are Jim Lee, you know, covers and you know, key books, the Ball key Wonder Woman books that some we have, some we don't have. But yeah, I just kind of went through what I got for that book, and you know, this is a book that I know there are a lot of copies of this book. Okay, so it's not like this card is that rare. But we rarely run into the Deadpool card book because it's one of those books, like if it's there and it's like around $20 or $30, someone's going to pick it up. You know, someone's going to pay $20-$30 and they're going to look at the grade, obviously, and you know, make that determination. But this is a book, like if I had found it in the wild and I saw that, you know, card in terms of the borders and all that, it looks really, really like high grade, right? So this is a book I probably would have paid whatever the shop was asking. In fact, I think Dave said he picked this one up. Half Price Books had it priced at like $20. But mind you, I had the option of picking up any card I wanted in this set. But back in the 90s, Deadpool wasn't really a thing yet. You know, I think a lot of people would have gone after the Shatterstar card before Deadpool. But for me, I wanted the Cable card. So I got, you know, the Cable. I just got one copy and I got the Cable card, and that's the one I wanted. And that's still in my collection. But, you know, now in hindsight, of course, everybody would have gone after the Deadpool card initially, had that. If you knew what we know now, back then, everybody would have just hoarded the Deadpool card because that's the big one now. That's still the one that I think people want to, is the only cover of value in this X-Force run. So yeah, this is just it just feels big because, you know, like this is still a book from my peak collecting days. Everybody remembers, you know, going out and getting the polybag copies and just looking through and seeing which card it is and making sure you got the card you want. And I remember, just specifically thinking, like Deadpool didn't become a thing until like, I want to say well into probably he was becoming a thing right around the mid-90s. But it wasn't until like, I think Joe Kelly's run, which was like, you know, early 2000s, that he became more, I think, known for how we know him today. And then, of course, the movies and all that kind of propelled the popularity of this character. But it was a slow build up and burn to now becoming like, he's literally like Marvel's moneymaker now. I would put Deadpool on par with like Wolverine and Spider-Man in terms of, I think, popularity, at least modern popularity. But yeah, this is a nice pickup. So that's what we got for the trade. A lot to, you know, there's a lot to unpack here in terms of what we picked up and how we're gonna organize. And I mean, I've got so much stuff to adjust and edit with these books, but we'll kind of get through that after we log off here. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Obviously, for people who love Dave Stevens, are gonna think I didn't I got the I didn't get the good end of the stick on that trade. But for those of you been who just on a value for value, book for book basis, that Deadpool card one is special to me. So yeah, uh, again, don't have much invested emotionally in that Dave Stevens book, but I have so much invested emotionally in these books. Um, especially like getting a book like this, the DC logo variant, another copy. I don't mind. I'll pick up every DC variant logo I run into on that cover. That's just, I'll hoard those. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we watched. Dave and I both watched the movie. And we kind of came out, like saying the same thing. Like, it was hyped to a point where we had more expectations for it. And I kind of went in thinking, yeah, like I have it hyped up in my head and I'm likely to be disappointed. And that's what happened. I went in really hyped and stoked, and then the movie started, and it was funny. I'll give it that. It was funny. But it definitely like didn't meet the expectation. Like I came out of it kind of disappointed, entertained. Would I recommend people go see it? Yes, I would recommend people go see it, but I would say temper your expectations. It's not, it's not like a game changer in terms of a movie, and in terms of its outcome and all that. It's not a game changer. It's just a fun time. Yeah, it's a fun time. A lot of like cool moments in it. Or like I should say, whoa moments in it. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, good time, well worth the cost of admission. So definitely go see it. Just temper those expectations. But the big announcement. Well, first of all, I also want to focus on the fact that over the weekend at San Diego Comic-Con, Jim Lee was inducted into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame, and the class of 2024. So 2024 is a milestone year because that's the year Jim Lee entered the Comic Book Hall of Fame. And the people joining him in his class were Mike Mignola, Klaus Janson, and Jill Thompson. Jill Thompson did a lot of the work on Wonder Woman from the George Perez run. And I'm sure she's, done a lot of work throughout, but I'm not terribly. I know she did a lot of stuff also, whatchamacallit, throughout DC titles. So she's been prolific in DC at DC for quite some time. But yeah, I'm not like a big fan of her work. I do like Mike Mignola's work. And of course, Klaus Janson, just a legendary artist. He's also in a sort of a class by himself. So that's pretty cool, like there, it was interesting because there was no real. I don't keep up with Will Eisner Comic Book Hall of Fame like news. I'm sure it's kind of like baseball where they have a rotating list of names and a selection committee votes, and the people with the most votes enter the hall. So I'm thinking, Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane, these kinds of guys, they're probably not far behind, but they're not in yet. But I know Todd's in the Canadian Comic Book Hall of Fame, but he's not in the American Comic Book Hall of Fame yet. But Jim, it's well deserved, and I know it's hard to tag someone as like the greatest artist of all time because it's such a subjective subject and topic. Like, how do you measure, like, what are the stats for a comic book artist? Like, how do you even have that conversation? But if we were to like approach it like sports, you want to look at output, you want to look at sales, you want to look at I know like in sports it's good to stay with one team, right? You want to stay consistently playing with one team. But in comic books, that doesn't apply. I mean, if you're measuring someone's greatness, you probably want to measure them on the characters they've created, or the amount of books they've worked on, right? The runs they've done, and look at things like that. So, I mean, there are very few artists who can say I worked on Fantastic Four, Batman, Superman, and we're talking like continuity runs, right? What else has he worked on? Like, started his own company and created things like Gen 13, Wildcats, worked on X-Men, right? Punisher. You just look at and of course he's doing so much at DC now. He's like, he's just done every character imaginable. He's at least done a cover of every character imaginable. He's done Spider-Man, he's done Thor, he's done Iron Man, he's done, you think it, he's done it. He's done Green Arrow, he's done all the DC characters, down to Joker, Harley Quinn, and there aren't a lot of artists who can boast that. I can't think of, because I mean, Jack Kirby, he's done pretty much all, so many, characters like Cap, Superman, Fantastic Four, but even he's had limitations. He's never done Spider-Man, right? He never got an opportunity to do Batman. And you look at a guy like just look at McFarlane, right? McFarlane's got a panel in Superman, like a gallery book. And McFarlane loves Superman. Superman's his favorite character. He wrote into the Superman mailbag as a kid. That's how, and it's no secret that Todd McFarlane loves Superman. And I'm sure he would have loved an opportunity to work on Superman, but he just never got that opportunity. And to be honest, like, I don't think DC should ever give him that opportunity because he doesn't do a good Superman. He's makes Superman's cape like Spawn-like, and I just would not trust him with that IP. But that goes to show you, like, you could be a talented artist, have all the credentials in the industry and all the chops, but at the end of the day, you're not getting Superman. like not every artist gets to work on Superman. And if you do, you should be considered lucky. But even if you do work on Superman, that doesn't ensure you that you work on other things. So the industry's obviously changed to where artists back in the day worked on something and that's all they did. John Romita Sr., his thing was Spider-Man. He did he pretty much built Marvel in the Bronze Age and branded it to where it was through Spider-Man and through a lot of the Marvel characters. But there are very few artists who get an opportunity who actually where the the executives they tell their directors and managers, look, we got to get John Byrne on this book, or we got to get Jim Lee on this book. I mean, that's a conversation that needs to happen in the boardroom for you to be able to bring an artist and have them work on a run. It's like the publisher, the editor, they have to all agree, okay, what are we doing for January through August on our run of like Green Arrow or Batman. And the editors put their heads together and like they call artists that they want to work with or they think would do a good job on that. There's a little vetting going on, and then boom, they're on the book. And that's how it's been kind of done. But in the past, these artists, they've had very, very long runs. And then they kind of intermittently, you have a team of artists kind of doing stuff together. They're not penning, like Kurt Swan's not doing every Superman or Action Comics cover, but he's doing the majority of them, and he's got supportive artists will come in. And then it got more collaborative throughout time. And now, artists will come in, they'll do a small stint, on a specific story arc, and then boom, it's another artist. So I think a modern artist today is likely to have more opportunities to add, characters or runs on specific titles to their portfolio or to their resume. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of Jim Lee's breadth of what he's worked on and characters he's done, the only other person that comes close to that, I would say, is John Byrne. I mean, John Byrne has had a similar arc to Jim Lee in that, he kind of worked on X-Men. That's his, he was working on other stuff up until X-Men, and that's what really launched him into notoriety. And then, he went into Fantastic Four. He did a bunch of stuff for Alpha Flight and like West Coast Avengers, and I mean, you name it, he did it in the 80s. So, and then of course, he kind of did a lot of stuff at DC. He was working on Wonder Woman a little bit, Superman. He did a couple titles in Batman. He didn't do a lot for Batman. And Byrne does a great Batman, but I think, Batman's it's a tough assignment. Not every artist can do Batman. And Superman's a tough assignment. Byrne, he licked Superman. I mean, he pretty much set a new standard, the modern standard for the character. He did such a superb job on Superman. That's why we're really targeting his run on that. So yeah, congrats to Jim Lee. Again, well-deserved induction into the Hall of Fame. And in my view, he's the greatest artist of all time. I just kind of laid out the reasons why I think he is. You don't have the most copies sold, and in terms of the breadth of his career, what he's done and what he's created out there, who he's worked with, And he's just been such a, to be, the president of DC at the moment, and having the creative impact that he's having across this entire generation of books, and where DC is headed in terms of like its content and mass entertainment. Um, he's done a phenomenal job, and so well deserved. Uh, and yeah, you know, for me, like, boom, you get an artist like Jim Lee that, and you collect. You're collecting him for a reason, and to get that kind of validation, um, especially like not posthumously, but while he's still relevant in the industry and still putting out books and putting out, incredible content and still engaging with fans. I mean, the fans that were complaining about the prices of his original artwork, you guys can go, like, seriously, you guys can go like I want to curse, but I'll just say you guys can go do something to yourself. Seriously, like um it's a stupid asinine comment to like complain about that. It's like not your average person is going to be able to afford original art. So complaining about something you can't afford, the value of something that you can't afford, is pretty stupid in my opinion. Like I would love to collect Jim Lee original art. I just can't afford it. So that's why I'm focusing on comic books. So if you think this is like getting his like remark and stuff is like, has to be within reason, like it's still affordable. It's like $800 for a remark. I think it's 1,000 now, but um I'm disappointed. I feel your pain, dude. I want that. I would like it for 500. I would like original art of his for $1 if I could get it. You just not living in reality. And he's an artist, before he's like a charitable, I don't know, like non-profit. He's not out for charity. He's an artist that has to feed and take care of the bills. Sure, being Jim Lee is not cheap, so he's got to charge what he charges, and so I have no issue with it. The people that do really need a reality check. You need a reality check on like what original artwork goes for in the market, um, and you need a reality check on just how significant Jim Lee is. Like, you know, um, he's not some guy at the Comic Con who's trying to sell prints, and like make a name for himself. Like he's not a guy who's like selling original artwork for maybe thousands of dollars versus tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's um, he pretty much probably inspired the guy you're getting original artwork from for the thousands of dollars you're getting it for. So it's just a reality check, dude. Like the ones that are complaining, you guys just have to um, do better in life, than complain about stuff like that. All right, that is going to be it. I've got a lot of books to kind of reorganize and um, submit. Oh yeah, the last thing is the we didn't cover the big announcement from San Diego Comic Con, which was the Robert Downey Jr. Announcement, which took everyone by surprise and perplexed a lot of people. Um, how could the guy who built the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Iron Man, Tony Stark, come back as the nemesis, arch nemesis of Marvel? He's basically the big baddie of Marvel. How can you, like, where's the logic in that? I think he'd be a great Victor Von Doom. I'm not questioning that. uh, I'm just like a lot of people. I'm like, wait, he's Tony Stark. You know, now he's going to be a different guy, or what are they going to put like prosthetics on him, or what is he? Is it some timeline thing where I guess there is a book like that where like Stark becomes like he ends up following Doom's fate, becoming like you know, but that doesn't make sense because that would mean Tony Stark would get displaced to Latvia, or no, where's he? I think is he Latvian? Yeah, I think Von Doom's Latvian. He'd get displaced to Latvia and be adopted by gypsy parents or something, and then have this incredible like. It would just be too much of a stretch. You'd be taking a guy from where Stark's family probably grew up in like Southern California, right? Stark's probably a Southern Cali boy, and now he's getting displaced to like Eastern Europe, where he's, it's just it doesn't make sense. So it's not. I don't think it's that. It's literally like, here's Tony Stark as a new character, and he's probably gonna have an accent and just straight play like Von. He's gonna play Doom. You know what I mean? And I just, for me, like it was perplexing, but it's generating a lot of buzz, and I even posted, my Iron Man, my John Romita Jr. cover of Iron Man versus Doom, that classic cover. I posted that book. It's for sale, by the way. $50. It's a fine copy. It's got a corner issue, pretty ragged corner, but presents pretty well. Spine's not too bad. But yeah, $50. I'm selling it because of the announcement. Like I know you can go on eBay and get it cheaper now, but not for long. People probably are picking that book up at a fast clip right now. So I'm just gonna keep mine for $50, and if you want it, you can get it. But yeah, I wouldn't sleep on that book. That book's going up as we speak. It's gonna hit the list at some point. It's got to hit the list. Because it's, I think, the first cover of Iron Man versus Doctor Doom. So there you go. What are the other big announcements? Oh yeah, in the comics, they're going to kill off Deadpool, and then he's going to be replaced by his daughter, Ellie Camacho. So I think the Ellie Camacho first appearance is going up at the same time as all this other buzz is happening as a big development. More and more things are pointing to Deadpool dying. Obviously, he's dying in the comic book, but they're also, I don't want. Well, actually, I don't want to go there because it's kind of, I guess, like it's on the edge of spoiling the movie. So I'm not going to necessarily mention anything related to that, but it looks like Deadpool is gonna meet some untimely demise. That's what I think they're setting that up for, which doesn't make sense either. You don't kill off your A-list star. Although never say never, but that's a theory of mine. It's not nothing, just a theory. But yeah, based on the comic book death, it looks like that's something Marvel could do. I just don't know why they do it. So there's a lot of sort of perplexing things in some of the announcements that we've seen. I know they revealed more of the Red Hulk in like a subsequent trailer. But we have again Avengers Doomsday, which leads to Secret Wars. We have preceding that, we have the Cap America movie. We have the Thunderbolts movie, and then we have the Fantastic Four movie. So a lot of like kind of cool things in the pipeline. I will say this. I don't think the Fantastic Four film is going to be good. And nothing against Pedro Pascal. I think he's a great actor, but he's not Mr. Fantastic. He just is not. That's not a good casting for Mr. Fantastic. And the other hurdle they have is CGI thing, right? Doing a CGI thing, is that going to look nice? Is that going to look, believable? CGI, I think CGI Johnny Storm we've seen versions of CGI Johnny Storm in the previous Fantastic Four movies. So in that respect, I don't think CGI, Johnny Storm is going to be that bad. Because fire and flames in CGI is not. It's like, I think a man made out of rocks is harder probably to do than somebody who's engulfed in flames and shooting flames out of his hands and stuff. And then Sue Storm, that's just invisibility. I don't know how they're gonna manage that, but I'm sure that's can be done through CGI as well. But more than again, the casting concerns me. The design of the characters, I kind of got a glimpse of some of the character designs and on this Fantastic Four movie. It just doesn't scream Fantastic Four to me. It just screams like, again, I think Marvel's problem is they put too much faith into Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige is putting too much faith into the movie studio machine, the profit machine, rather than putting his ear to the street and listening to how fans want to see this, right? He's putting too much weight in the boardroom rather than, and I'm sure they're doing they're meeting with fans and they're meeting with people who have a knowledge of like the Marvel movies, but you got to talk to like hardcore comic book collectors when you're, people who actually read the books, understand the history of the characters from all demographics, right? But yeah, like you got to put in more work than just picking up people off the street and ask them what would you like to see in a Deadpool movie, or what would you like to see in a Wolverine movie? Because yeah, I just feel like, and it's a hard balance because you can't please everybody, right? But at the core, you just got to have people working on the movie that have a good vision of what the story should be. And right now, I think you're not seeing that. You're not seeing at least I'm just specifically talking about certain movies. I'm not talking about Deadpool Wolverine. I think that was cast really well. I'm talking about like Fantastic Four specifically. The Doom, our RDJ Doom announcement is perplexing. I do not see him as Doom, although Doom is just wears a mask, right? We really don't. There's no real sense of his true face. You could put anybody behind the mask, and no, they'd be Von Doom, right? So, anyway, a lot to chew on there, and the last bit of news is related to this iconic logo right there. DC's bringing back the bullet logo for the movies as the official DC Universe logo. And that is one that's going to make everybody happy, including me. This was my era of collecting. It was pretty much something they initiated kind of in the late Bronze Age, and it ran all the way through the 2000s, so it covered a pretty broad period of time. And then they redesigned it to different things like this, and anyway, there's other iterations of it. This might be the most, I think this is the most recent, right? This is the current one. But yeah, the bullet logo is definitely the iconic look of DC Comics for sure. And Jim Lee did a great post about the bullet logo. Go read that. I mean, he basically summed up, yeah, when they went bullet, it's when DC got like gritty and real, and a lot of innovation going on in the industry. So I couldn't agree more. It was a very, again, leading up to the modern age, I would say the copper in the 90s, there was just so much evolution in what these books were becoming. And that evolution is spawned by just really forward-thinking, innovative creators who kind of push the envelope. And Jim Lee mentions in that specific post, like Frank Miller, right? Frank Miller coming to DC, doing what he did for the Batman title. And he also mentions Howard Chaykin and who's the other artist in there, other writer. But anyway, they're just a bunch of creators that were doing a lot of great work during, this era of the logo. So that is probably, again, a lot to, talk about moving forward. There's just a lot of stuff that's continuing to kind of captivate us. But looks like the San Diego Comic-Con, dropped a big load of, information and stuff to look forward to for the next year. And we'll be excited. We're kind of on board with a lot of it. No major like Superman announcements, but looks like that project is kind of wrapped up and getting ready. They're working on the post edits now, and again, that a year from now, we're all going to be. I'm going to be so amped for that Superman movie, and I'm just hoping it it delivers, like fully delivers, where I'm walking out like, yes, I got to see that again and all this. Deadpool, again, not that it didn't deliver. I don't want to frame it like I wasn't entertained. I was definitely entertained with the Deadpool movie. It's an entertaining movie. It's just like expectation versus what we got. There's a gap. And I think I speak for a lot of people who might come out of there feeling, yeah, it was okay, kind of like, again, expectation versus reality. It's hard to hit that expectation every time. So oftentimes the best movies you remember are your favorite are the ones you just kind of go in with like, what am I going to be? I don't know what to expect. What am I watching here? And then being like, whoa, blown away. That didn't happen with Deadpool Wolverine. But yeah, we're going to retire this book now. Not retire it. We're going to tuck it away. It's not going to be out and about. I put Red Hulk up in there, so Red Hulk is kind of like taking over its spot. These books are always kind of rotating and doing their share of screen time. Just give you a good look at what we have up on the shelf at the moment. But yeah, that is that. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my little trade haul here. And we got more books coming. I mean, budget's going to reset. So Friday, there are actually, I thought about where I haven't hit up. I haven't hit up the shop in Federal Way. So we'll hit up that shop. In fact, there's 2 comic shops in Federal Way that we're going to hit up. And then there are books I reserved at Destiny City too. So we're going to go to Destiny City. We're going to hit up another place for a book that is there for a price I like. Pick that up, head to Federal Way, hunt there, and then we'll come and we'll broadcast live on Friday and share what we picked up. I don't anticipate it'll be like a big haul, especially not bigger than our last haul from Friday, where we spent like $150 on books. But I'll probably pick up I'm targeting like $50 for that haul. So we'll see what we pick up. All right, thanks, and we'll see you next one. Peace out.